Welcome. I'm Magnus, and I bring you horror stories to help you relax, or maybe to keep you up at night. Tell us where you're from. Are there spooky forests nearby? If you're a fan of scary stories, subscribe and drop a like. Get cozy, and let's begin. My name is Ethan Blackwood, and I'm 32 years old. I live in Portland, Oregon, where I work as a restoration specialist at a custom furniture workshop. My days are filled with sanding down antiques and bringing weathered wood back to life. Peaceful, predictable work that keeps my hands busy and my mind quiet. That's what I've always appreciated about woodworking. Unlike people, wood doesn't hide its true nature. The grain tells you everything you need to know. After 6 months of nonstop projects and breathing sawdust, I desperately needed a break. My boss had been pushing us hard for a major hotel renovation, and the constant overtime had left me drained. When the project finally wrapped, I decided to use my accumulated vacation days for a solo camping trip. Something about the isolation of nature always reset my mental state. I chose Coconino National Forest near Flagstaff, Arizona, about a 12-hour drive from Portland, but I'd heard stories about its breathtaking red rock formations and pine forests that seemed to stretch into infinity. I'd always been a bit of a loner by nature. My colleagues at the workshop would invite me out for beers, but I usually declined. Small talk exhausted me, and I preferred the companionship of books or my own thoughts. This trip was no different. I wanted solitude, silence, and stars overhead without Portland's perpetual cloud cover. I packed my reliable 2010 Subaru Forester with camping gear, my favorite woodworking knife, a habit from years of craftsmanship, some freeze-dried meals, and enough water to last a week in the desert. The drive from Portland was long but therapeutic. I watched the landscape transform from the lush greenery of the Pacific Northwest to the stark, alien beauty of the Southwest. The colors shifted from deep emerald to burnt sienna, and the air became drier with every mile. By the time I crossed into Arizona, I felt the weight of work stress beginning to lift from my shoulders. The vastness of the open road has a way of putting your problems into perspective. The forecast had promised clear skies, but as I approached Flagstaff, dark clouds gathered on the horizon. Something about those clouds made me uneasy. They weren't the gentle gray of rain, but an unnatural charcoal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Still, I'd driven too far to turn back, and a little weather wouldn't ruin my plans. I stopped at a local outfitter to pick up a detailed map of the forest and some last-minute supplies. The shop owner, a weathered man with skin like tanned leather, eyed me as I browsed the shelves. "Heading into Coconino alone?" he asked, his tone casual, but his eyes scrutinizing. When I nodded, he frowned slightly. "Been some strange reports from the eastern trails lately. Hikers going missing, then turning up disoriented miles from their campsites. Probably nothing, but thought you should know." I thanked him for the warning, but privately dismissed it. Every small town has its local legends designed to unsettle tourists. By late afternoon, I found a perfect spot off a secluded Forest Service road, a small clearing surrounded by towering ponderosa pines with a view of distant mesas. The air smelled of pine resin and desert sage, a comforting blend that immediately made me feel at home. I set up my tent near the Subaru, arranged a modest fire pit, and settled in as the sunset painted the sky in disturbing shades of crimson and violet. Almost too intense to be natural, like blood diluted in water. As darkness fell, the forest changed. The comforting sounds of birds and rustling leaves gave way to an unnerving silence, punctuated occasionally by calls I couldn't identify. Not quite coyote, not quite human. I tried to focus on the crackling fire and the stars emerging overhead, but couldn't shake the unsettling feeling of being watched. Just nerves, I told myself. The unfamiliarity of a new place playing tricks on my mind. I crawled into my tent earlier than planned, exhausted from the drive and slightly unnerved by the absolute darkness between the trees. Sleep came fitfully that first night. I dreamed of walking through the workshop back home, except all the wooden furniture had faces pressed into the grain, silently screaming to be released. I woke several times, sweating despite the cool night air, only to drift back into the same nightmare. Around 3 in the morning, I jolted awake to what sounded like footsteps circling my tent. I held my breath, straining to listen, but heard nothing more. Eventually, I convinced myself it was just an animal, perhaps a deer or elk curious about the new visitor to their forest. Still, I kept my woodworking knife close as I finally drifted back to sleep. The next morning dawned crisp and clear, washing away the unsettling feelings of the night. I made coffee on my portable stove and planned to explore the surrounding area. The map showed a small lake about 2 miles east of my campsite, perfect for a day hike. I packed a lightweight day pack with water, trail mix, and my knife, then set off through the pines, following what appeared to be a faint hiking trail. The forest was eerily quiet for mid-morning. No birdsong, no rustling of small animals in the underbrush, just the sound of my boots on pine needles and my own breathing. About a mile in, I noticed something strange. Several trees had peculiar markings carved into their trunks. Not typical trail blazes or graffiti, but intricate symbols that resembled interconnected eyes. I ran my fingers over one, feeling how fresh the cuts were, the sap still sticky. As a woodworker, I recognized that these had been made recently, perhaps within the last day or two. I continued toward the lake, but the trail gradually became less defined. At one point, I had to check my compass to ensure I was still heading east. That's when I noticed the first real warning sign. My compass needle spinning erratically, unable to find north. I tapped it, assuming it was broken, but it would occasionally stabilize before spinning again. Cell service had disappeared miles back, rendering my phone's GPS useless. I considered turning back, but decided to press on, confident I could retrace my steps if necessary. The trees began to thin, suggesting I was approaching the lake, but instead, I emerged into a clearing I hadn't seen on the map. In the center stood 3 tents arranged in a triangle, with a large fire pit in the middle. The campsite appeared well established, but empty of people. A blue pickup truck was parked at the edge of the clearing. I called out a greeting, not wanting to startle anyone by my sudden appearance, but received no response. As I cautiously approached the campsite, details began to disturb me. The tents were open, sleeping bags neatly arranged inside, as if the occupants had just stepped away. A coffee pot still sat on a camp stove, the coffee inside cold but not yet evaporated. 3 camping chairs circled the extinguished fire, one knocked over. On a folding table lay an open map of Coconino, with locations circled in red marker, including the exact spot where I'd set up my own camp. My instinct was to leave immediately, but curiosity and concern overrode caution. What if these campers were in trouble? I checked the pickup truck, finding it unlocked with keys still in the ignition. The glove compartment contained registration papers for one Marcus Wayland from Tucson. A smartphone lay on the passenger seat, its battery dead. In the truck bed, I found high-end camping gear, including climbing equipment and what looked like specialized trapping tools, strange choices for recreational camping. I was about to leave when voices echoed through the trees. I stepped away from the truck, not wanting to appear as if I was snooping. 3 people emerged from the forest, 2 men and a woman, all in their 30s, carrying hiking packs and chatting animatedly. They stopped abruptly when they saw me, exchanging quick glances before the taller man broke into a friendly smile. "Hey there, fellow camper," he called, approaching with his hand extended. "Marcus Wayland. These are my friends, Danny and Cole." The woman, Danny, with long dark hair pulled into a practical braid, gave a tight-lipped smile that didn't reach her eyes. Cole, stocky with a bushy red beard, nodded silently, his gaze evaluating. "Got yourself lost?" Marcus asked, his tone concerned but something calculated in his eyes. I explained I was hiking to the lake, but may have taken a wrong turn. Their reaction was subtle but noticeable. Another exchange of glances, a slight relaxation in posture. "Lake's actually northwest from here." Cole finally spoke, contradicting my map. "Easy to get turned around in these woods. Why don't you stay for lunch? We've got plenty." The invitation seemed genuine, but something in Danny's expression, a slight narrowing of eyes, triggered a deep sense of unease in my gut. Against my better judgment, I accepted their invitation. Something about refusing seemed potentially more dangerous than staying, at least for now. Marcus fired up a propane stove while Danny pulled out food supplies from a bear-proof container. Cole kept asking questions about my camping experience, my job, where exactly my campsite was located. I gave vague answers, mentioning I worked in construction rather than specifically furniture restoration, and that my camp was a couple miles west rather than the true direction. Portland, huh? Marcus handed me a metal cup of surprisingly good coffee. Long way from home. Nobody expecting you back anytime soon, I imagine. The question seemed casual, but there was an undercurrent to it that made my skin crawl. I lied, saying my brother knew exactly where I was and was expecting daily check-ins. Danny's eyes flickered momentarily to Cole, who subtly shook his head. They were communicating something silently, and I was increasingly certain I didn't want to know what. Lunch consisted of surprisingly elaborate sandwiches with fresh ingredients that seemed improbable for a remote camping trip. As we ate, I noticed more disturbing details. Their boots matched the strange, distinctive tread pattern I'd seen around my tent during the night. Marcus had a small tattoo on his wrist of the same eye symbol I'd seen carved into the trees. Most alarmingly, I spotted what looked like a tranquilizer gun partially covered by a tarp near one of the tents. "So, Ethan," Danny spoke directly to me for the first time, her voice honey-sweet, but her eyes cold as river stones. "We're actually tracking some wildlife in the area, part of a university research project. We could use an extra pair of hands. Why don't you move your camp over here with us? Safer in groups out here." The offer was framed as friendly, but delivered like a command. I noticed Cole's hand had moved to rest near what looked like a hunting knife on his belt. I smiled and feigned enthusiasm, saying I needed to grab my gear first. Marcus immediately offered to accompany me. "These woods can be disorienting," he insisted, that smile never reaching his eyes. "I'd hate for you to get lost again." The implication was clear. They weren't going to let me return to my campsite alone. My heart hammered against my ribs as I realized with horrifying certainty that I wasn't the first lone camper they'd befriended out here. As Marcus and I walked back toward my campsite, with him slightly behind me, I became hyper-aware of his every movement. The casual way he kept touching the small pack at his hip. The deliberate path he was taking, not the most direct route to where I'd told them my camp was located, but in the actual direction of my true campsite. He knew exactly where I'd been camping, had probably watched me set up yesterday. "You know, Ethan," Marcus broke the tense silence. "You remind me of someone we met last month. Hiker from California. Same independent spirit." He chuckled, the sound devoid of warmth. He was resistant at first too, but came around eventually. Everyone does. The threat was thinly veiled, and cold terror washed over me as I realized what came around likely meant. I thought of the strange trapping equipment in their truck, the markings on the trees possibly serving as territory markers or signals. We were about half a mile from my actual campsite when I heard a distinctive three-note whistle from somewhere to our left. Marcus immediately tensed, then responded with a two-note whistle of his own. "Change of plans," he muttered, suddenly grabbing my arm with surprising strength. "We need to head back to base camp now." That's when I saw the flash of metal in his hand, a syringe, uncapped and ready. I reacted instinctively, driving my elbow hard into his solar plexus, a self-defense move I'd learned years ago but never expected to use. Marcus doubled over, gasping, the syringe falling into the pine needles. I didn't wait to see if he'd recover quickly. I sprinted in the opposite direction from both his camp and mine, veering randomly through the trees to throw off pursuit. Behind me, I heard that three-note whistle again, more urgent this time, followed by Marcus's enraged shout. "He's running. Eastern Quadrant." The words confirmed my worst fears. This was a coordinated operation, and I was their intended prey. The horror of my situation fully dawned on me as I ran deeper into unfamiliar forest, pursued by people who knew these woods far better than I did. I crashed through the underbrush with no plan beyond putting distance between myself and Marcus. My lungs burned and branches whipped my face, but pure adrenaline kept me moving. In the workshop, I'd always been methodical, patient. Now, I was running on pure animal instinct. Behind me, I could hear whistles exchanged in different directions. They were coordinating, trying to flank me. The terrain began sloping upward, becoming rocky and difficult to navigate. My foot slipped on loose shale, sending me sliding several feet back down, skin tearing on my palms as I tried to stop my descent. Pain shot through my ankle when I stumbled to my feet, but I couldn't afford to assess the damage. A flash of movement to my right sent me changing direction again. I caught a glimpse of Danny's dark braid between the trees, moving parallel to my path. They were hurting me. The realization hit with horrifying clarity. I wasn't escaping. I was being driven somewhere specific. I halted abruptly, pressing myself against the trunk of a massive ponderosa pine, trying to control my ragged breathing. I needed to think, not just react. The distant sound of Cole's voice carried through the trees, almost at the ravine, before fading out of earshot. A ravine? They were driving me towards some kind of natural trap. I took stock of my limited resources. My day pack contained a half-liter of water, some trail mix, a basic first aid kit, a compass that still spun erratically, and my woodworking knife. The knife wasn't designed for combat, but its high-carbon steel blade was razor-sharp from years of careful maintenance. It would have to do. Evaluating my surroundings, I noticed a rocky outcropping about 50 yards to my left that might provide a better vantage point. Moving as quietly as possible, I worked my way toward the rocks, wincing each time my injured ankle took weight. From the outcropping, I could see portions of the forest falling away to what must be the ravine they'd mentioned, a natural bottleneck where they could easily corner me. I also spotted something else, a thin plume of smoke rising through the trees perhaps a mile north. Another campsite? Potential help? A shout behind me eliminated any time for further contemplation. Cole had spotted me on the rocks. I launched myself forward, abandoning stealth for speed, angling toward the smoke. My ankle screamed in protest, but the alternative was unthinkable. I heard the distinctive pop of what had to be the tranquilizer gun, followed by a dart thudding into a tree trunk inches from my head. The second shot caught the strap of my day pack, tearing it from my shoulder. No time to retrieve it. I kept running, my knife now clutched in my hand. The trees began to thin, revealing steep, rocky terrain that dropped away sharply to my right, the ravine they'd been herding me toward. It was deeper than I'd imagined, at least 30 feet down to a dry, boulder-strewn stream bed. On the opposite side, the land rose again into dense forest. Too wide to jump, too steep to descend safely. I was trapped between the ravine and my pursuers. Marcus emerged from the trees first, his earlier friendly demeanor completely abandoned. Blood trickled from his temple, where he must have fallen during the chase, and his eyes held a coldness that chilled me more than the approaching night air. Ethan, he sighed, as if disappointed in a child's misbehavior. You're making this so much harder than it needs to be. Danny and Cole appeared moments later, flanking him, all three blocking my escape route back into the forest. What do you want from me? My voice sounded strange to my own ears, ragged from exertion and fear. Marcus exchanged amused glances with his companions before answering. It's nothing personal, he explained, as if discussing a business transaction. We need specimens for our research. Isolated campers, hikers, people who won't be immediately missed. He took a step closer, and I raised my knife defensively. The human fear response produces unique neurochemical markers. Our benefactors pay quite well for fresh samples. The horror of his words settled over me like ice. This wasn't a simple kidnapping. They were harvesting people, somehow extracting these samples, he mentioned. My mind flashed to the specialized equipment in their truck, the clinical precision of their campsite. How many others had they lured or chased down in these woods? The markings on the trees weren't territorial markers. They were a record of successful hunts. As if reading my thoughts, Danny spoke up, her voice eerily calm. 17 before you, if you're wondering. Most came quite peacefully once they realized there was no escape. She raised her tranquilizer gun, aiming it squarely at my chest. The extraction process is less effective if the subject is too damaged, so please, don't make us hurt you unnecessarily. I glanced behind me at the ravine, certain death if I jumped, then back at the three predators slowly advancing toward me. Cole had produced what looked like restraints from his pocket. Marcus held another syringe, and Danny's finger was steady on the trigger of her weapon. In that moment of perfect clarity, I made my choice. If I was going to die, it wouldn't be strapped to some table in their makeshift lab. I'd rather take my chances with gravity. Just as I tensed to turn toward the ravine, a deafening crack split the air, a gunshot, unmistakably different from the soft pop of the tranquilizer gun. Cole crumpled to the ground, blood blossoming across his shoulder. Marcus and Danny spun toward the source of the shot, momentarily forgetting me. From the trees emerged a figure I hadn't expected to see again. The weathered shopkeeper from Flagstaff, a hunting rifle raised and ready for a second shot. Step away from him, the man commanded, his voice carrying the weight of someone accustomed to being obeyed. "Forest Service has been tracking you sick bastards for months." Marcus made a split-second calculation, then lunged toward me, clearly intending to use me as a shield. I sidestepped, driving my knife deep into his thigh as he passed. He howled in pain, collapsing to one knee as blood soaked his pants leg. Danny swung her tranquilizer gun toward the shopkeeper, but his second shot came before she could fire, catching her in the arm. She dropped her weapon, screaming curses as she clutched her wounded limb. The shopkeeper, or Forest Service agent, apparently, kept his rifle trained on my would-be captors as he carefully approached. "You all right, son?" he called to me, never taking his eyes off Marcus and Danny. I nodded mutely, still processing how close I'd come to becoming the group's 18th specimen. The agent produced a satellite phone from his jacket, presumably to call for backup. That's when Marcus, despite his bleeding leg, made his final desperate move. With surprising speed for an injured man, he lunged not toward me or the agent, but over the edge of the ravine. For a suspended moment, he seemed to hang in the air, a strange smile on his face. Then gravity claimed him. His body struck rocks on the way down, the sickening sounds echoing up the ravine walls. Danny's scream of rage quickly transformed into hysterical laughter, her eyes wild as she stared at the spot where Marcus had disappeared. "You think this ends with us?" she spat, blood dripping between the fingers she pressed against her wounded arm. "We're just field collectors. There are others, dozens of teams across every national forest. You'll never find them all." The agent's expression remained impassive as he bound her uninjured arm to a tree, then moved to secure the semi-conscious Cole. Only when both were restrained did he finally lower his rifle and approach me. "Name's Richards," he introduced himself, confirming he was indeed the shop owner I'd met. "Been working undercover with Forest Service Special Investigations for 14 months, tracking disappearances in Coconino. You're lucky I followed those coordinates they circled on their map." He handed me a canteen of water, which I gulped gratefully. "Backup's about 30 minutes out. Helicopter will get you to a hospital to check that ankle." As the adrenaline began to fade, the full weight of what had almost happened, hit me like a physical blow. I sank to the ground, shaking uncontrollably. Richards crouched beside me, a weathered hand on my shoulder. "It's over now," he assured me, though Danny's manic laughter in the background suggested otherwise. "You're safe." But even as rescue approached, as the distant thrum of helicopter blades grew louder, I couldn't shake the feeling that this forest held more horrors than the three I'd encountered. That somewhere in the vast wilderness of Coconino, other research teams were tracking their own potential specimens, marking trees with watching eyes, and waiting for the next lone camper to make the fatal mistake of trusting a friendly face in the wild. The hospital and Flagstaff diagnosed me with a moderate ankle sprain, dehydration, and numerous superficial cuts and bruises. Physically, I was lucky. Mentally was another story entirely. I gave my statement to local police and federal investigators, repeating the horrifying details until they became almost mundane in their telling. Yes, they mentioned benefactors. No, they didn't specify who. Yes, they said extraction process. No, I didn't know what that entailed exactly. The authorities seemed simultaneously disturbed by my account and frustratingly unsurprised. Richards, whose full name turned out to be Deputy Marshal Jim Richards, visited me before discharge, his weathered face grave as he shared what they'd found at the base camp. A hidden cache of sophisticated medical equipment beneath false bottoms in their supply containers. Vials of preserved tissue samples, carefully labeled with dates and initials. A leather-bound journal containing meticulous notes about subjects and their fear responses during extraction. Most disturbing of all, a satellite phone with encrypted communications to someone identified only as the Institute. "We've suspected an organized operation for years," Richards explained, his voice low despite the private hospital room. "Hikers and campers disappearing in national forests across the country, usually solo travelers, often without immediate family. The kind of people who might not be reported missing for weeks." He hesitated before continuing. "What we found in that camp confirms our worst theories. This isn't just serial killing or human trafficking. It's systematic harvesting." Marcus's body was recovered from the ravine, but revealed more questions than answers. Multiple surgical scars indicated prior operations, including evidence of a removed neural implant at the base of his skull. His fingerprints matched no records, and his Marcus Wayland identity was confirmed as fictitious. Danny and Cole remained in custody, but maintained absolute silence beyond repeating that the Institute would eventually find them, or find me. 2 weeks after my return to Portland, the news reported that the transport vehicle carrying Danny and Cole to a federal detention facility had been found abandoned on a remote highway. Both prisoners and the 2 marshals escorting them had vanished without a trace. The official statement cited a possible ambush by unknown accomplices. I immediately called Richards, who confirmed my fears. Someone with significant resources had intercepted the transport. "We're getting you into witness protection," he stated flatly. "Pack essentials only. Marshals will be at your apartment in 3 hours." I hung up, hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone. Moving to the window, I peered through the blinds at the street below, and my blood turned to ice. Parked across from my building was a blue pickup truck I didn't recognize. Inside sat a figure too distant to identify clearly, but their posture suggested they were watching my building. Watching me. I stepped back from the window, heart hammering painfully. 3 hours suddenly seemed an eternity. I moved through my apartment, gathering only what I couldn't bear to leave: my father's watch, photos of my late mother, my most treasured woodworking tools. Everything else would stay behind, along with my identity as Ethan Blackwood. As I packed, my gaze kept returning to the window, to the blue truck that hadn't moved. The knock at my door came 90 minutes later, too early for the marshals. I froze, tools clutched in my hands. As the knocking came again, more insistent. "Maintenance," called a muffled voice. "Got a report of a water leak in this unit." I remained silent, knowing I'd made no such report. After a moment, I heard the subtle sound of metal on metal, someone working at my lock. In desperation, I dialed Richards, but the call wouldn't connect. My phone showed full signal, but couldn't place the call, being actively jammed. I tried texting, calling 911, with the same result. I was cut off, trapped in my own apartment 11 floors up, with someone about to come through my door. The bathroom window led to a fire escape, but I'd have to cross the main room to reach it. As the lock began to give way, I made my choice. I moved as quietly as possible toward the bathroom, my woodworking knife, the same one that had saved me in the forest, clutched in my sweating palm. The front door opened with a soft click just as I reached the bathroom threshold. I dared to glance back and saw a woman I didn't recognize step inside, scanning the room methodically. Her gaze landed on my half-packed bag on the bed, then shifted directly to where I stood. Her eyes were the most disturbing part, flat and observant, like a scientist watching a lab rat navigate a maze. She smiled, revealing unnaturally perfect teeth. "Ethan Blackwood." She spoke my name like she was savoring it. "The Institute has been most interested in your case. A subject who escaped extraction is unprecedented." She closed the door behind her with disturbing casualness. "Your neurochemical markers must be extraordinary to have generated such survival instincts." I backed into the bathroom, slamming and locking the flimsy door between us. It wouldn't hold her for long. The window was small, but workable. I could fit through it to the fire escape. As I struggled to open the painted shut window, I heard her speaking through the door, her voice almost friendly. "There's nowhere to run that we won't find you, Ethan. The Institute has resources you can't imagine. We've already identified and processed your emergency contacts, your boss, your neighbors. We've been monitoring you since Arizona." The casual way she mentioned processing people I knew sent waves of nausea through me. Even your Marshal Richards was easily intercepted once we identified him. The window finally gave way with a crack of breaking paint. Cold air rushed in as I pushed it fully open. Behind me, something heavy slammed against the bathroom door once, twice. On the third impact, the cheap lock splintered and the door crashed inward. I didn't look back as I forced myself through the narrow window opening, metal frames scraping skin from my shoulders. The fire escape rattled ominously beneath my weight as I half climbed, half fell down the metal stairs. I reached the alleyway breathing hard, ankle throbbing anew. The blue pickup was now parked at the alley entrance, blocking the most obvious escape route. I turned the opposite direction, sprinting despite the pain. I had no destination in mind beyond away from the woman, away from the Institute. away from the horrifying fate I'd momentarily escaped in Arizona. As I ran through unfamiliar Portland backstreets, a terrible clarity settled over me. There was no witness protection program waiting. Richards was gone. Intercepted, whatever that euphemism meant. Anyone I contacted would become a target. I was completely alone, pursued by an organization with enough power to make federal prisoners disappear and jam communications in the middle of a major city. Night fell as I continued moving, staying to shadows, avoiding street cameras. Eventually, I found myself at Portland's bus terminal, staring at the departure board like it contained salvation. Where could I go that they wouldn't follow? What identity could I assume that they couldn't uncover? The woman's words echoed in my mind. Nowhere to run that we won't find you. Perhaps she was right. Perhaps this was a futile effort, delaying the inevitable extraction they seemed so determined to perform. But as I purchased a ticket to Seattle under a false name, paid in cash, I made a decision. I wouldn't be just prey anymore. I would learn everything possible about the Institute. I would find others who had encountered them and survived. Most importantly, I would expose their operation to the world. As the bus pulled away from Portland, I gazed out at the city lights gradually receding into darkness. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd gone camping to escape the pressures of normal life, only to find myself now escaping life entirely. I clutched my backpack, containing the few possessions that connected me to Ethan Blackwood, knowing I might need to abandon even these. The elderly woman seated beside me smiled kindly, asking if I was heading to Seattle for business or pleasure. I managed a weak smile in return, the weight of my new reality settling heavily on my shoulders. Neither, I replied softly. I'm running from monsters. She chuckled, assuming I was joking, and returned to her magazine. If only she knew that the true horror of my camping trip wasn't what had happened in those Arizona woods. The true horror was discovering that the monsters weren't confined to remote forests. They walked among us in cities, wore ordinary clothes, held positions of apparent authority. They had resources, coordination, purpose. And most terrifying of all, they were still hunting me, patient and methodical, confident that eventually I would make a mistake. One deadly mistake was all they needed to add my name to their completed list of specimens, my fears and final moments meticulously documented in a leather-bound journal. As the bus carried me into the night, one certainty remained. The campfire stories that had frightened me as a child, tales of hooks and hitchhikers, of creatures lurking in the darkness, paled in comparison to the clinical horror I'd uncovered. Some part of me would always be running through those Arizona woods, heart pounding, breath ragged, pursued by people who saw me not as human, but as a fascinating source of data to be extracted, cataloged, and discarded. I'm sprawled out in the driver's seat of my beat-up Jeep, the engine still ticking as it cools down from the long haul. My name's Elena Torres. I've got 29 years old, and I call Tucson home. Well, when I'm not chasing solitude in the middle of nowhere. The air's crisp up here near Flagstaff, a hell of a lot cooler than the desert oven I'm used to. I've been itching for this trip for weeks. Just me and the wilderness. No cell service, no noise, just the stars and the smell of pine. I picked this spot off a faded map I found in a thrift store, some old Forest Service road snaking through Coconino National Forest. It's remote, sure, but that's the point. The sun's dipping low, painting the sky this wild mix of orange and purple, and I'm unloading my gear like it's a ritual. Cooler, sleeping bag, a little propane stove. Everything's got to fit just right in the back of the Jeep where I'll crash tonight. I'm not big on tents. Something about sleeping in a vehicle feels safer, like I can peel out if things get weird. Not that I'm expecting trouble, but you never know. I've got this old paperback horror novel I snagged for $1. Figured it'd keep me company after dark. The irony's not lost on me now, looking back. I spot this dirt trail winding up a hill nearby, and my legs are screaming to stretch after the drive. I grab my water bottle and start hiking, figuring I'll catch the sunset from higher up. The pines are thick, swallowing the light, and the ground's all crunchy with needles. It's quiet, too quiet, maybe, but I shake it off. Tucson's got its own kind of silence, the kind where you hear coyotes yipping at night. So this feels different, heavier. I'm halfway up when I see it. This rickety old lookout tower poking out of the trees, all weathered wood and peeling paint. It's got that abandoned vibe, like something out of a scary movie. I'm staring at it, wondering who the hell used to sit up there all day, when I notice a glint, something metal catching the last bit of sun. Binoculars, maybe? I squint, but it's too far to tell. Probably just some ranger's junk left behind. I shrug and keep climbing, my boots kicking up dust. The view from the top's worth it. Miles of forest rolling out like a dark green sea. I sit on a rock, sipping water, feeling like I've got the whole world to myself. It's peaceful, you know? The kind of peace that makes you forget how fast things can turn disturbing. Back at the Jeep, I'm frying up some eggs on the stove, the sizzle cutting through the stillness. Night's creeping in fast, and I've got the windows cracked just enough to let the breeze sneak through. I'm not paranoid or anything, but I lock the doors anyway. Habit from living in a city where you don't leave stuff unattended. The stars are popping off up there, brighter than I've ever seen, and I'm just soaking it in. I flip open that horror novel, the one about some guy lost in the woods, and smirk at how cheesy it is. Real life's not that dramatic, right? I'm a few pages in when I hear it. A twig snapping, sharp and close. My head jerks up, eyes darting to the windows. Nothing but blackness out there, the kind that swallows your headlights. I tell myself it's a deer or a raccoon, something normal. Happens all the time out here. I turn the page, but my ears are on high alert now, straining for anything else. The wind picks up, rattling the Jeep a little, and I laugh at myself for getting spooked. Camping alone's supposed to be relaxing, not some horror show. I crawl into the back, shimmying into my sleeping bag, the Jeep's seats folded flat. It's cozy enough, and I've got a flashlight handy just in case. I'm drifting off, thinking about that tower again, when I hear another sound, faint, like a low hum. Not an animal, not the wind. It's steady, mechanical almost, coming from somewhere deep in the trees. I sit up, heart thumping, but I can't place it. Maybe a generator? Rangers or something. I lie back down, telling myself I'm overthinking it. The hum keeps going, though, buzzing in my skull like a mosquito you can't swat. I pull the sleeping bag over my head, trying to block it out, but it's no use. My mind's racing now, picturing that tower, those binoculars, wondering if someone's up there watching me fumble around in the dark. It's stupid, I know, but the thought sticks. I'm alone out here, miles from anyone, and suddenly that doesn't feel as freeing as it did a few hours ago. I'm half asleep when I swear I hear voices, muffled, far off, like they're arguing. My eyes snap open, and I'm holding my breath, waiting for it to happen again. Nothing. Just the hum, steady as ever. I roll over, cursing myself for picking a spot this damn isolated. What was I thinking, coming out here with no one to back me up? I wake up stiff as hell, my neck screaming from the awkward angle I slept in. The Jeep's windows are fogged up, and I wipe a streak clear with my sleeve, peering out at the gray dawn creeping through the pines. That hum's gone, thank God, but my head's still fuzzy, like I didn't sleep at all. I'm chalking it up to the voices I thought I heard. Probably just a dream, right? I climb out, stretching, and the air's got this damp bite that makes me wish I'd packed a thicker jacket. My eggs are cold, but I scarf them down anyway, figuring I'll need the energy. I'm rinsing my pan with some water from my jug when I notice the Jeep's tire, flat as a pancake. Shit. I kneel down, running my hand over it, and there's a gash, deep and jagged, like something sliced it clean open. No way that happened driving up here. The road was rough, but not that rough. I popped the trunk, digging for the spare, and my stomach's twisting. I'm no mechanic, but I've changed a tire before, back in Tucson when some jerk ran over a nail in my apartment lot. Still out here, feels different. I'm jacking up the Jeep, swearing under my breath, when I catch something out of the corner of my eye, movement up by that lookout tower. I freeze, squinting through the trees. There's a figure, just standing there, too far to make out details. Ranger maybe? I wave, half-hearted, but they don't move. Just watch. My skin's crawling, and I'm telling myself it's nothing, probably some early morning patrol. I focus on the tire, but my hands are shaky now, fumbling the lug nuts. The spare's on, and I'm wiping grease off my palms when I hear a crunch, like boots on gravel, coming from the trail. I spin around, but there's nothing, just the wind kicking up dust. My heart's thudding, and I'm starting to think this trip was a dumb idea. I could pack up, head back to Tucson, call it quits. But I drove 3 hours for this. Damn it, and I'm not letting a flat tire and some creepy vibes ruin it. I decide to hike up to that tower, see if there's a ranger who can explain the figure, or at least tell me I'm not losing it. The climb's steeper than yesterday, and I'm huffing by the time I get close. The tower's even more beat up close, boards splintered, windows cracked, a rusty ladder dangling off the side. No one's around, though, and that figure I saw, gone. I'm about to turn back when I spot something on the ground. A cigarette, but still warm, the ash glowing faintly. Someone was here, and not long ago. My gut's screaming this is disturbing, but I shake it off. Campers, maybe, or a ranger on break. I'm poking around the base of the tower when I find this old logbook, half buried under some leaves. It's damp, pages curling, but I flip it open anyway. Dates go back years, ranger notes about weather, wildlife, the usual. Then there's this entry, scribbled in messy ink. Saw them again. 3 this time. They don't leave. No name, no context, just that. My throat's tight, and I'm laughing it off, but it's a nervous laugh, the kind you force when you're spooked. What the hell does that even mean? I shove the book in my pack, figuring I'll read more later, and head back down. The whole way, I'm glancing over my shoulder, expecting that figure to pop up again. Nothing does, but the forest feels off, like it's holding its breath. Back at the Jeep, I'm double-checking the locks, debating whether to move camp. There's a clearing a few miles west on the map. Might be less creepy. I'm tossing my gear in when I notice the cooler's open. Food's still there, but the lid's flipped up like someone messed with it. I didn't leave it like that. I'm slamming the tailgate shut, muttering about raccoons, when I see it. Tire tracks, fresh ones, cutting through the dirt near my spot. Not mine. The Jeep's been parked since last night. My mouth goes dry, and I'm scanning the trees, half expecting headlights to flare up. Nothing moves, but the hairs on my neck are standing straight. I climb in, start the engine, and peel out toward that clearing, telling myself it's just some off-roader passing through. The new spot's flatter, more open, with a view of the road, less chance of surprises. I'm setting up again, trying to shake the jitters, when I hear it. A low whistle, sharp and human, cutting through the afternoon haze. It's not far, maybe 100 yards, and it stops me cold. I grab my flashlight, even though it's still light out, and stand there, waiting for it to happen again. It doesn't, but now I'm sure of it. I'm not alone out here, and whatever's watching me isn't just some damn animal. I'm gripping the flashlight so tight my knuckles ache, standing there in the clearing like an idiot, waiting for that whistle to come again. The sun's still up, barely, hanging low over the pines, but the shadows are stretching out, turning everything into this creepy, distorted mess. I'm telling myself it's nothing, just some hiker screwing with me, but my gut's screaming otherwise. I've got this sinking feeling, the kind you get when you know something's about to go sideways, and it's disturbing as hell. I shake it off, or try to, and start unpacking my stove again, pretending I'm not jumping at every rustle in the bushes. I'm lighting the burner when I hear it. Voices, low and garbled, drifting from the trees. Not the wind, not my imagination this time. It's real, and it's close. I kill the flame, grab my flashlight, and creep toward the edge of the clearing, my boots crunching louder than I'd like. The words don't make sense, mumbled, overlapping, like a radio stuck between stations. I'm straining to hear, heart pounding, when I see them. 3 figures, just beyond the tree line, standing there. No movement, no faces I can make out, just silhouettes, tall and wrong somehow, like they're too still to be human. I'm frozen, staring, when one of them turns its head, slow, deliberate, like it knows I'm here. My stomach drops, and I flick on the flashlight, aiming the beam right at them. The light catches something. Eyes, maybe, glinting back at me, but then they're gone, melting into the trees like they were never there. I'm panting, swinging the beam around, but it's just pines and dirt. My mind's racing, telling me I'm seeing things, but those shapes were real, and the terror's clawing up my throat now. What the hell was that? I stumble back to the Jeep, slamming the door and locking it, like that's gonna do anything. My hands are shaking as I dig out that logbook from my pack, flipping to that creepy entry again. Saw them again. 3 this time. They don't leave. My breath catches. 3. Just like I saw. I'm flipping pages now, frantic, and there's more. Heard the whistle last night. They're closer. Found the truck empty, keys still in it. It's old, dated years back, but it's hitting way too close to home. I toss the book aside, telling myself it's coincidence, but I'm not buying my own bullshit. I'm peering out the windows, scanning the darkening forest, when I notice something off. The tire tracks from earlier? They're here too, circling my new spot. Fresh, deep, like someone drove through while I was unpacking. My Jeep's the only vehicle I've got, and I sure as hell didn't make those. I'm freaking out now, the horror's sinking in, because this isn't random. Someone, or something, is tracking me, and I've got no clue why. I grab my phone, even though there's no signal, just to feel less alone. I'm about to start the engine, get the hell out, when I hear the whistle again. Louder, sharper, right outside the Jeep. I whip around, and there's a face pressed against the passenger window. Pale, smeared with dirt, eyes wide and unblinking. I scream, scrambling back, and it's gone in a flash, like it was never there. My chest's heaving, and I'm fumbling for the keys, but my hands won't work right. I'm telling myself it's a prank, some asshole camper, but that face wasn't right. It was too hollow, too dead. The engine roars to life, and I'm peeling out, dirt spraying behind me, when the headlights catch them. 3 figures again, standing in the road, blocking me. I slam the brakes, tires skidding, and they just stare, unmoving. My mouth's dry, and I'm gripping the wheel, torn between flooring it or reversing. Then one steps forward, slow, and I see it's holding something. A ranger's hat, old and tattered, dangling from its hand. My mind's screaming this is wrong, scary as hell, and I'm not waiting to find out what they want. I throw the Jeep into reverse, spinning the wheel, and gun it back toward the clearing. Branches scrape the sides, loud as gunshots, and I'm glancing in the rear view, expecting them to chase me. Nothing's there, just darkness swallowing the road. I'm shaking so bad I can barely steer, and the radio crackles on, static, then voices, the same garbled mess I heard before. I smack it off, but it keeps going, louder, filling the Jeep with this disturbing hum that's drilling into my skull. I'm back at the clearing, tires crunching to a stop, when I see it. My cooler's gone. Not tipped over, not raided. Gone, like someone hauled it off. The logbook's still in the passenger seat, open to a page I didn't leave it on. They take what they want. Then they take you. My blood's ice, and I'm staring at those words, realizing I've stumbled into something way bigger and way scarier than I ever bargained for. I'm slamming the Jeep door shut again, hands trembling so bad I drop the keys twice before jamming them into the ignition. That logbook's sitting there like a curse, and I chuck it out the window, not caring where it lands. The engine's rumbling, but my mind's a mess. Those figures, that face, the missing cooler, it's all piling up into something horror-soaked and way too real. I'm peeling out of the clearing, tires spinning in the dirt, headlights slicing through the dark. I don't know where I'm going, just away, anywhere but here. The forest road's a nightmare, twisting, narrow, with branches clawing at the Jeep like they're trying to drag me back. I'm flooring it, pushing 50 on a path barely wide enough for 20, and the suspension's groaning like it's about to give out. My heart's hammering, and I'm muttering to myself, "You're fine, Elena, just get to the highway." Then the headlights catch something. Those damn figures again, 3 of them, standing off to the side, watching me. I swerve, nearly clipping a tree, and they don't flinch, just stare with those hollow eyes. I'm sweating buckets, glancing in the rear view, and there's nothing behind me, just black. But the radio's back on, blasting static and those garbled voices louder than before. I smack it, hard, and it cuts out, then starts again, like it's mocking me. I'm losing it, yelling at the damn thing to shut up, when I see the ranger hat on the passenger seat. I didn't put that there. My stomach lurches, and I hurl it out the window, screaming, "Leave me alone." The terror's choking me now, thick and suffocating. The road dips, and I'm fishtailing around a curve when something slams into the side of the Jeep. Hard, like a boulder. The whole thing rocks, and I'm fighting the wheel, tires screeching as I skid to a stop. I'm panting, peering out the window, and there's a dent, big and ugly, in the door. No rock, no animal, just that dent, and the air's gone still, scary still. Then I hear it, a laugh, low and raspy, coming from the trees. My skin's crawling, and I'm done playing brave. I gun it again, the Jeep lurching forward, and I'm praying the tires hold up. The road's getting rougher, potholes jarring my teeth, but I don't slow down. Then the headlights flicker, once, twice, and die. I'm plunged into darkness, the engine still roaring, and I'm slamming the dash, begging it to come back. They flicker on just in time for me to see a figure dead ahead, right in the road, arms outstretched. I scream, yanking the wheel, and the Jeep veers off, crashing through underbrush, scraping metal on wood. I'm bouncing around, branches smashing the windshield, and the Jeep jolts to a stop, engine sputtering out. I'm in a ditch, surrounded by trees, and the silence is deafening. My chest heaving, and I'm fumbling for the flashlight, clicking it on. The beam shakes as I scan outside. Nothing but pines, no figures, no movement. I try the engine dead. I'm stranded, miles from anywhere, and the realization hits like a punch. This is life or death now, and I'm not sure I'm winning. I grab my pack, stuffing in water and a knife I keep for emergencies, and kick the door open. My legs are jelly, but I'm running, crashing through the brush, flashlight bouncing wild. I hear that whistle again, sharp, close, and I'm sprinting faster, tripping over roots, scraping my arms raw. The forest feels alive, closing in, and I'm sobbing, begging it to let me go. I don't know where I'm at, just that I've got to keep moving or I'm done. I stumble into a clearing, lungs burning, and spotted a lookout tower, not the same one. This one's taller, sturdier. There's a light flickering at the top, faint but real. Hope flares up, and I'm bolting for it, screaming for help. The ladder's cold, rungs biting my hands as I climb, and I'm halfway up when I hear them. Footsteps, heavy, circling below. I don't look down, just climb, praying there's a ranger, someone, anyone up there to save me. I'm hauling myself onto the platform, gasping, when the light goes out. The tower's empty, no ranger, just an old radio spitting static and a chair tipped over. My flashlight catches something scratched into the wood. They climb too. My blood freezes, and I spin around, shining the beam down the ladder. 3 pairs of eyes glint back up at me, and they're starting up, slow and deliberate, hands gripping the rungs. I'm backed against the tower's railing, the wind howling up here, whipping my hair into my face. The flashlight's shaking in my hand, lighting up those things, pale, twisted, wearing scraps of ranger uniforms like some sick joke. They're climbing steady, not fast, but relentless, and I'm screaming at them to stop, my voice cracking. The horror's swallowing me whole, and I'm kicking at the ladder, desperate to knock it loose. It doesn't budge, bolted tight, and they're getting closer, those eyes locked on me, unblinking. I'm digging through my pack, tossing out water, the knife clattering to the floor. I grab it, holding it out like I've got a clue how to use it. Stay back, I yell, but it's useless. They don't even flinch. The first one's head crests the platform, and I swing, the blade slicing air, missing by inches. It grabs the edge, hauling itself up, and I'm stumbling back, tripping over that damn chair. My flashlight rolls, beams spinning wild, and I'm scrambling to my feet, trapped up here with nowhere to go. The second one's up now, and the third's right behind, fanning out like they're hurting me. I'm sobbing, slashing with the knife, and I catch one. Black blood sprays, thick and wrong, but it doesn't stop, just keeps coming. My mind's blank, pure panic, and I'm thinking about Tucson, my apartment, how I should have stayed home. The railing's digging into my back, and I'm staring down at the drop, 50 feet, maybe more, onto rocks and trees. It's a death sentence, but so staying here. I'm cornered, knife slipping in my sweaty grip, when the radio crackles louder. Voices, clear now, chanting my name. Elena, Elena, it's them, somehow, and it's so disturbing I can't think straight. I lunge at the closest one, stabbing wild, and it grabs my wrist, twisting hard. The knife falls, clanging off the platform, and I'm thrashing, kicking, screaming as they close in. Their hands are cold, clawing at me, and I'm shoving back, teetering on the edge. I make a break for it, ducking under an arm, aiming for the ladder, stupid, desperate move. I'm sliding down, rungs burning my palms, when I feel it, a yank on my pack, pulling me back up. I'm fighting, clawing at the metal, but they're stronger, dragging me like I'm nothing. My foot slips, and I'm dangling, one hand on the ladder, the other flailing. I look up, and those faces, empty, grinning, are all I see, leaning over the edge, reaching down. I let go. It's a split-second choice, a deadly mistake, but I'd rather fall than let them have me. The air's rushing past, and I'm tumbling, hitting branches, pain exploding everywhere. I land hard, something snapping in my leg, and I'm sprawled out, gasping, staring up at the tower. They're still there, watching, not chasing, just waiting. Blood's pooling under me, warm and sticky, and I'm fading, the forest spinning out. I'm clawing at the dirt, dragging myself toward the trees, but it's no use. My leg's busted, and I'm losing too much blood. The whistle starts again, soft now, almost mocking, and I'm crying, realizing I'm not getting out of this. I think about that logbook, the warnings, how I should have turned back at the flat tire. The tragedy's sinking in. I came out here for peace, and I'm dying alone, hunted by something I don't even understand. They're climbing down now, slow and deliberate, silhouettes against the moon. My vision's blurring, but I see them coming, the ranger hat back in one's hand, like a trophy. I'm whispering apologies, to myself, to anyone. When they reach me, hands cold on my skin, pulling me up. The last thing I hear is that whistle, fading with my pulse, and I'm gone, lost to whatever the hell they are. The Jeep's still out there, ditched in the woods, keys in the ignition. Some hiker will find it someday, maybe the logbook too, and wonder what happened. They won't know the half of it. How a solo trip turned into a nightmare, how I fought and lost. The forest keeps its secrets, and I'm one of them now, another name scratched into its bloody history. My name is Daniel Mercer. I'm 32 years old, and I live in Phoenix. Life in the city had become suffocating with the constant drone of traffic and the pressure of my accounting job. That's why when my college buddy, Marcus Chun, suggested we take a camping trip to Coconino National Forest near Flagstaff, I jumped at the chance. Marcus had moved to Flagstaff 3 years ago to work as a forest technician, and he'd been pestering me to visit the wilderness he now called his office. The drive from Phoenix was breathtaking, watching the landscape transform from urban sprawl to desert plains and finally to the towering ponderosa pines. The late August heat was less oppressive up at the higher elevation, a welcome relief from Phoenix's scorching temperatures. Marcus greeted me at a small ranger station just inside the forest boundaries, his familiar grin partially hidden beneath his now bushy beard. "Long time no see, city boy," he laughed, thumping my back as we embraced. Ready to see what real nature looks like. 2 other people stood nearby, Eliza Johnston, a park ranger with fiery red hair tied back in a practical ponytail, and Kevin Delgado, Marcus's co-worker who specialized in fire management. Marcus had mentioned bringing along colleagues who knew the area well, perfect guides for someone as inexperienced as me. We loaded my gear into Marcus's Forest Service truck, joining their equipment already packed in the back. The plan was to camp at a remote spot Marcus knew about, far from the usual tourist trails, but still accessible by vehicle. "There's an old lookout tower near our campsite," Marcus explained as we bumped along a narrow forest road. "Not used much anymore except during peak fire season, but the view is incredible." The deeper we drove into the forest, the more everything around me seemed to change. The trees grew taller, blocking out much of the sunlight, and the temperature dropped noticeably. I couldn't shake the feeling that the forest was watching us, an irrational thought I attributed to being a city dweller out of his element. Eliza must have noticed my unease. "First time in a forest this dense?" she asked, her voice surprisingly gentle for someone who looked so tough. "That obvious, huh?" I admitted, trying to laugh off my discomfort. "I've done some hiking, but nothing this immersive." Kevin chuckled from the driver's seat, exchanging a glance with Marcus that I couldn't quite interpret. "The forest takes some getting used to," Kevin said, his eyes returning to the increasingly rough road. "It's got a way of making you feel small." By late afternoon, we reached our destination, a small clearing surrounded by massive pines, with just enough space for Marcus's truck and our tents. The lookout tower Marcus had mentioned loomed above the trees about a quarter-mile away, its weathered structure silhouetted against the darkening sky. "Home sweet home for the next 3 days," Marcus announced, jumping out of the truck with the energy of someone truly in his element. As we set up camp, I couldn't help but notice how efficient my companions were, working with the practiced ease of people who did this regularly. My fumbling with tent poles provided some comic relief, but eventually, our little camp took shape, 3 tents arranged in a semicircle around what would become our fire pit. The forest had grown unnervingly quiet as the sun began to set, the only sounds being our movements and the occasional distant call of a bird I couldn't identify. That first night around the campfire seemed idyllic at first. Stars punctured the black canvas overhead, more than I'd ever seen from Phoenix. Marcus broke out some beers, and we settled into easy conversation. Kevin told us about the worst forest fires he'd fought, while Eliza shared stories about rescuing lost hikers. People underestimate the forest, she said, poking at the fire with a stick. They think because there are trails and rangers, they're somehow safe. But nature doesn't care about your feelings. A sudden, sharp howl cut through the night, silencing our conversation. It wasn't a coyote or wolf. It sounded almost human, but distorted somehow. What the hell was that? I asked, my voice embarrassingly high. The three rangers exchanged looks again, something they'd been doing all evening. Marcus shrugged. Probably just a mountain lion. They can sound weirdly human sometimes. But I noticed his hand had moved to the hunting knife at his belt. I didn't sleep well that night. The ground beneath my sleeping bag felt harder than it should have, and every snapping twig or rustling leaf jolted me awake. Around 3 a.m., I gave up on sleep and unzipped my tent to get some air. The campsite was bathed in pale moonlight, and as I looked toward the lookout tower, I could have sworn I saw a light moving inside it. Didn't Marcus say it wasn't being used? I muttered to myself, rubbing my eyes. When I looked again, the light was gone. Morning brought fog and a light drizzle, unusual for Arizona this time of year according to Marcus. Our plans to hike to a nearby lake were postponed, and instead, we huddled under a tarp strung between trees, playing cards and drinking instant coffee. Weather report says it should clear up by noon, Kevin said, checking his satellite phone, the only device getting reception out here. We could head up to the lookout tower instead. It's closer, and the view's worth it even in this weather. The fog was disorienting as we hiked the short distance to the tower. Trees loomed out of the mist like silent sentinels, and sounds seemed to carry strangely, sometimes muffled, sometimes unnaturally clear. I could have sworn I heard someone calling my name once, but when I mentioned it, Eliza just shook her head. Forest acoustics can play tricks on you, she explained, but her voice lacked conviction. The lookout tower was older than it had appeared from a distance. Its metal frame rusted in places, wooden stairs weathered gray. This thing's safe, I asked as we began to climb. Marcus went first, insisting the structure was regularly inspected. Besides, he added with a forced laugh, what's adventure without a little risk? The stairs creaked ominously under our weight, and I counted each step to distract myself from thoughts of plummeting to the ground below. The observation room at the top was surprisingly intact, a small square space with windows on all sides, containing a desk, some weather equipment, and a radio setup that looked at least 20 years old. Maps covered one wall, marked with notations I didn't understand. But what caught my attention was a logbook open on the desk, with an entry dated yesterday. Thought you said this place wasn't being used, I said to Marcus, pointing to the logbook. His brow furrowed as he examined the page. It's not supposed to be, he said slowly. At least, not by anyone I know of. The entry was brief and written in handwriting none of us recognized. They're coming back. Third group this month. God help them. A chill ran down my spine despite the stuffiness of the small room. Kevin grabbed the radio, trying to contact Ranger headquarters, but got only static in response. As we were discussing what to do, I noticed something on one of the maps, a red circle around our campsite location, with yesterday's date scribbled beside it. Other locations were similarly marked, each with different dates going back weeks. Guys, I said, my mouth suddenly dry. I think someone's been watching us. The four of us stared at each other, the growing tension broken only when a deafening crash of thunder shook the tower. The storm that rolled in wasn't on any forecast, and as lightning illuminated the forest below, I caught a glimpse of something moving between the trees, something large and definitely not a deer. We decided to head back to camp immediately, the weather deteriorating rapidly around us. The path that had been merely foggy before was now a treacherous slope of mud and exposed roots. Rain lashed at us, driven horizontally by gusting wind. Halfway down the lookout tower stairs, a lightning bolt struck terrifyingly close, momentarily blinding me. When my vision cleared, Kevin was gone. Kevin! Eliza screamed, her voice barely audible over the storm. We searched frantically, calling his name, but found no trace of him. "We need to get back to camp," Marcus shouted, grabbing my arm. He might have fallen and headed back on his own. I wasn't convinced, but the worsening storm left us little choice. We stumbled back toward camp, the forest now an obstacle course of whipping branches and treacherous footing. When we finally broke through to our clearing, my stomach dropped. The tents were in tatters, their contents strewn everywhere. Marcus's truck had been ransacked, the doors hanging open, the radio ripped from its housing. Eliza immediately went into ranger mode, salvaging what supplies she could while Marcus tried his satellite phone. "No signal," he reported grimly. "Storm must be interfering." I helped gather our scattered belongings, trying to ignore the fact that some of our food supplies seemed to be missing, not scattered, but gone. Even more disturbing were the footprints in the mud surrounding our camp. They looked human but were too large, the toes too spread out, almost like someone had been walking barefoot with deformed feet. "We should leave," I insisted, panic rising in my throat. "Right now? Hike back to the main road if we have to." Marcus shook his head. "It's 10 miles through unfamiliar forest in a thunderstorm. We'd be risking exposure, getting lost, or worse." Eliza agreed. "Our best bet is to secure what's left of camp, try to repair one tent for shelter, and wait for the storm to pass. Someone will come looking when Kevin and I don't check in tomorrow morning." As we worked to salvage our camp, a scream echoed through the forest, unmistakably Kevin's voice, but cut off abruptly. We froze, staring in the direction it had come from. "That's it," I said, grabbing my backpack. "I'm not staying here." Marcus caught my arm. "Dan, think. We don't know what's out there. If something happened to Kevin." He didn't finish the sentence, but his meaning was clear. Running blindly into the forest might lead me straight to whatever had gotten our friend. Night fell early under the storm clouds, our single reconstructed tent barely holding against the wind. We huddled inside, a lantern casting ghoulish shadows as we took inventory of our supplies. 2 days of food, if we ration, Eliza reported. The first aid kit is intact, and I found one of the emergency flares. I was only half listening, my attention drawn to a scratching sound on the tent fabric, like fingernails dragging slowly across the nylon. When I pointed it out, it stopped immediately. Around midnight, the storm finally began to ease, though rain still pattered steadily on the tent. That's when we heard it, a low, gurgling sound just outside, like someone trying to speak with a throat full of liquid. "Hello," Marcus called, his voice steady despite the fear evident on his face. "Kevin, is that you?" The response was a wet, sliding sound moving around the perimeter of our tent. Eliza silently handed each of us a weapon, her service knife for me, a hatchet for Marcus, while she gripped her Ranger-issue pepper spray. The tent zipper began to move on its own, slowly pulling upward. Marcus lunged forward, yanking it the rest of the way and thrusting the lantern toward the opening. What stood there made no sense to my brain at first, a human-like figure, but wrong in every proportion. Its skin was pale and bloated as if waterlogged, stretched too tight over elongated limbs. The face was the worst part. Features that might once have been human, but were now distorted, the mouth impossibly wide and filled with needle-like teeth. Most disturbing of all was the Forest Service patch still visible on what remained of its tattered uniform. "Run!" Eliza screamed, discharging her pepper spray directly into the thing's face. It reared back with a shriek that sounded like metal grinding on metal. We burst from the tent, grabbing only what we could in those seconds of confusion: my backpack, Eliza's Ranger pack, Marcus's satellite phone. The creature recovered quickly, joined by 2 more figures emerging from the treeling. One of them wore what looked horribly like pieces of Kevin's clothing. My mind refused to process what I was seeing as we sprinted toward the lookout tower, the only defensible structure we could think of. The lookout tower loomed ahead, our only hope for survival. Up the stairs, Marcus shouted, pushing me ahead of him. "They're coming." I took the steps 2 at a time, my lungs burning, the wood slick with rain. Behind us, those things moved with a jerking, unnatural gait. Fast when they ran on all fours, slower but more deliberate when upright. Eliza reached the top first, flinging open the trapdoor that led to the observation room. I scrambled through, followed by Marcus, who slammed it shut just as one of the creatures reached the top step. "Help me," Marcus grunted, struggling to hold the trapdoor closed against the inhuman strength below. I threw myself across it, adding my weight while Eliza frantically searched for something to secure it. She found a metal bar that seemed designed for exactly this purpose, sliding it through brackets on the trapdoor. The pounding continued for several minutes, the whole tower shaking with the force of their assault, before suddenly stopping. The silence that followed was somehow worse than the attack. What the hell are those things? I gasped when I could finally speak. Eliza was checking the windows, making sure they were secure. I don't know, she replied, her ranger composure cracking for the first time. But I think that one was wearing Terry's boots. Seeing my confusion, she added, Terry Blackwood, ranger who went missing 2 months ago during a routine patrol. They found his truck, but not him. Marcus had the satellite phone out again, desperately trying to get a signal. The storm's clearing, he reported, pointing to breaks in the clouds visible through the windows. If I can get to the roof, I might be able to call for help. It was a risky plan. The roof access was via a small hatch above the radio equipment, but our options were limited. While Marcus worked on the satellite phone, Eliza and I examined the materials in the lookout more carefully. The logbook contained more disturbing entries going back months, all in the same handwriting, describing transformations and failed subjects. Look at this, Eliza said, her voice tight with fear. She'd found a map hidden beneath others on the wall, this one marked with red X's throughout the forest. Our location was circled, as were several others bearing dates. Most disturbing was the notation at the bottom. Project Wendigo, Phase 3 complete. Human trials continuing. Marcus joined us, his face pale. Still no signal, he reported. But I think I know what's happening. Last year, there were rumors about a secret government facility somewhere in this forest. Genetic research, biological weapons, something like that. Most rangers dismissed it as conspiracy nonsense. A scraping sound from the roof interrupted him. Something was moving up there, claws or nails dragging across metal. The hatch we'd been planning to use for our own escape was now a potential entry point for whatever haunted us. Block it, Eliza commanded, already shoving the desk beneath the roof hatch. We piled everything we could on top, creating a barricade that might buy us some time. Dawn broke with agonizing slowness, gray light gradually revealing the forest around us. The creatures had withdrawn to the tree lean, visible now as misshapen silhouettes watching the tower. They're waiting for something, Marcus muttered, scanning the forest with binoculars he'd found in a drawer. I was checking our supplies, a few granola bars from my backpack, Eliza's water bottle, a first aid kit from the tower itself. Not enough for a prolonged siege. Mid-morning brought the distant sound of an engine. Hope surged through me until I saw Marcus's expression. That's not a ranger vehicle, he said grimly, focusing the binoculars on a dirt road barely visible through the trees. A black SUV with no markings was approaching our location, moving with deliberate speed. How do they even know we're here? I asked, fear giving way to confusion. Eliza's face hardened as she held up Marcus's satellite phone. Because every time we tried to call out, we were actually signaling them. The SUV stopped at our ruined campsite, and 4 figures in hazmat suits emerged. They moved with military precision, examining the destroyed tents before looking up at the tower. One raised something to his shoulder, a rifle with a scope. Get down, Marcus yelled, pulling me away from the window seconds before glass shattered where my head had been. We crawled to the opposite side of the room as more shots rang out, systematically taking out each window. The stairs, Eliza hissed, pointing to the trapdoor. It's our only chance. We wait until they're reloading, then make a break for it. The forest provides cover if we can reach it. It was a desperate plan, but I couldn't think of a better one. Marcus nodded grimly, removing the bar from the trapdoor. On my count, he whispered as the gunfire momentarily ceased. 3, 2, 1 now. We burst through the trapdoor onto the stairs, the sudden movement catching our attackers by surprise. Eliza went first, then me, with Marcus bringing up the rear. We'd made it halfway down when the first shot rang out, the impact spinning Marcus around. Keep going, he shouted, blood blossoming on his shoulder. I hesitated for a fatal second, long enough to see one of those creatures emerge from beneath the tower, scaling the metal support beams with inhuman agility. Marcus, below you, I screamed, but too late. The thing launched itself at him, wrapping elongated limbs around his body. Their combined weight tore through the weathered stairs, sending both plummeting to the ground. I heard the sickening crunch of impact, followed by Marcus's agonized scream cut short by a wet, tearing sound. Eliza grabbed my arm, yanking me down the remaining stairs. "We can't help him," she said, her voice breaking. "Run for the tree line now." We sprinted across the clearing, gunfire kicking up dirt at our heels. The forest offered temporary sanctuary, thick pines breaking the shooter's line of sight. We ran without direction, driven by pure survival instinct, the sound of pursuit always just behind us. Eliza was faster, more accustomed to the terrain, but she kept pace with me, refusing to leave me behind. "There's an old fire road about 2 miles east," she gasped as we paused behind a fallen tree. "If we can reach it." The creature that found us moved so quietly we had no warning. One moment we were alone. The next, it was on top of Eliza, jaws clamping down on her throat before she could scream. I reacted on instinct, driving her ranger knife into its eye. The thing released her with a shriek, thrashing wildly as black ichor poured from the wound. I grabbed Eliza, desperate to pull her away, but knew immediately she was beyond help. Her eyes, still open, held no life, only accusation. Alone now, I ran blindly, branches whipping my face, my lungs burning with each desperate breath. The sounds of pursuit grew distant, then faded entirely, the whether I'd lost them or they'd simply stopped chasing me. I couldn't tell. By late afternoon, I stumbled onto the fire road Eliza had mentioned. It was little more than a dirt track, but it had to lead somewhere. I followed it south, jumping at every sound, expecting attack from every shadow. Night was falling when I heard the vehicle. I dove into the underbrush, peering out as headlights illuminated the narrow road. A Forest Service truck approached slowly, the driver scanning the road carefully. For a moment, hope flared in my chest, until I saw the driver's face. It was Kevin, or something wearing Kevin's face. The features were almost right, but the movements were wrong, the head rotating too far as it surveyed the road. In the passenger seat sat something wearing a hazmat suit, its helmet removed to reveal no face at all, just smooth, pale skin with indentations where features should be. I remained hidden as the truck passed, continuing my journey on foot only when I was certain they were gone. Hours later, well past midnight, I emerged from the forest onto a paved highway. A passing trucker stopped for me, his horrified expression telling me how I must have looked, covered in dirt, blood, and things I didn't want to name. I gave him a false story about getting lost while hiking, and he was kind enough not to ask questions as he drove me to the nearest town. The authorities didn't believe me, of course. The official report states that Marcus Chun, Eliza Johnston, and Kevin Delgado died in a tragic accident when their campfire ignited a small forest fire. The lookout tower, apparently, showed no signs of the damage I described. When I tried to lead police back to the location, we found nothing but pristine forest. No ruined campsite, no bullet-riddled tower, no strange footprints. The rangers who accompanied us were polite but dismissive, their eyes never quite meeting mine. I returned to Phoenix, trying to rebuild my life, but I know they're watching me. Black SUVs parked across from my apartment. Phone calls where no one speaks. And sometimes, on the worst nights, I hear scratching at my bedroom window, the sound of nails dragging slowly across glass. I've installed new locks, cameras, an alarm system, but deep down I know it won't matter. They'll come for me eventually, to silence me or to make me into one of those things. I'm writing this down as a warning. If you're planning a camping trip to Coconino National Forest, stay on the main trails. Don't venture near any lookout towers. And if a ranger named Marcus, Eliza, or Kevin offers to show you a special spot off the beaten path, run. Run as far and as fast as you can. Because what waits in those woods isn't human anymore, and once they've marked you, they never stop hunting. I'm bouncing along this rutted dirt road, my old pickup rattling like it's about to fall apart. My name's Caleb Hensley. I've got 34 years old, and I'm from Phoenix, where the heat's brutal and the city noise never quits. Up here near Flagstaff, though, it's a different world. Cool air, endless pines, and a quiet that's almost too much. I've been craving this escape for months. Just me and my truck, camping out in the back under the stars. Work's been a grind, and I need to unplug, breathe, maybe crack a beer and forget the world for a bit. The sun's dipping low, turning the sky this fiery red that makes the forest glow. I pull off onto a side trail in Coconino National Forest, some spot I found on an old forum post, supposed to be secluded, perfect for a loner like me. The truck bed's loaded with my gear, sleeping bag, cooler, a little grill I rigged up myself. I'm not big on tents either. I've got a tarp rigged over the bed, and that's home for the night. Feels rugged, you know? Like I'm some cowboy staking a claim. I'm unloading, kicking rocks out of the way, when I notice how still it is. No birds, no wind, just this heavy silence that settles in my bones. Phoenix is all sirens and traffic, so this should be a relief, but it's weirding me out a little. I shake it off, grab a beer from the cooler, and crack it open, the hiss loud as a gunshot out here. The plan's simple. Grill some burgers, kick back, maybe sketch a little. I've got this notebook I doodle in when I'm stressed. It's my zen thing. I'm wandering a bit, scoping out the spot, when I see this old fire road cutting through the trees. Curiosity gets me, and I follow it, boots crunching on gravel. It's overgrown, barely a path, but then I spot it. A lookout tower, squat and rusty, perched on a rise. It's got that abandoned feel, windows dark, paint chipped to hell. I'm thinking it's cool, maybe a sketch idea, when I notice something odd. A light flickers up there, quick, like someone flipped a switch then changed their mind. Rangers, maybe? I shrug and head back. Back at the truck, I'm firing up the grill, the smell of sizzling meat cutting through the pine scent. Night's falling fast, and I'm parked facing the road so I can see anything coming. City habit, I guess. I'm chowing down, burger dripping grease, when I hear a thump, sharp and close, like something hit the ground. I freeze, mid-bite, scanning the dark with my flashlight. Nothing moves, but my pulse is up, and I'm laughing at myself. Probably a pine cone or some critter. I'm cleaning up, tossing scraps into a bag, when I catch it. A smell, faint but nasty, like rotting meat mixed with wet earth. It's not the grill, that's all propane and char. I swing the flashlight around, sniffing the air, and it's stronger toward the trees. I'm not dumb enough to go check it out, but it's bugging me, that kind of stench you can't unsmell. I climb into the truck bed, pulling the tarp tight, telling myself it's just nature being gross. I'm settling in, sketching by lantern light, jagged lines, that tower taking shape on the page, when I hear voices. Not clear, just a murmur, low and steady, coming from the fire road. My gut twists, and I kill the lantern, listening hard. It's not wind or animals. It's human, or close to it, and it's getting louder. I'm sitting up now, peering through the tarp's gap, but the dark's too thick to see anything. My truck's locked, keys in my pocket, and I'm gripping my flashlight like it's a weapon. The voices stop, sudden, and I'm holding my breath, waiting. Then there's a scrape, metal on metal, slow and deliberate, right by the truck. My heart's pounding, and I'm shining the light out the back, catching the edge of the tailgate. There's a scratch, fresh and deep, gouged into the paint. I didn't hear anything hit it. No branches, no rocks, just that sound, and now this mark. I'm telling myself it's nothing, but my hands are sweaty, and I'm not buying it. I'm lying back, eyes wide, when the smell hits again, stronger, closer, like it's seeping through the tarp. The voices start up, faint but circling, and I'm frozen, staring at the roof of my makeshift tent. Something's out there, and it's not just my imagination playing tricks. I'm alone, miles from help, and that tower's flickering light is stuck in my head, making me wonder what the hell I've rolled into out here. I'm jolted awake by the truck rocking, hard, like someone's yanking it side to side. My eyes snap open, and I'm tangled in the sleeping bag, heart slamming against my ribs. It's pitch black, the tarp flapping loose, and that rotting stench is choking me now, thick as fog. I fumble for the flashlight, clicking it on, and the beam cuts through the dark, bouncing off the truck bed. The rocking stops, but I'm wide awake, sweat beading on my forehead despite the cold. What the hell was that? I'm crawling to the tailgate, peering out, and the forest's dead quiet again. No crickets, no nothing. My lantern's tipped over, rolling against the cooler, and I spot more scratches on the truck, long, jagged lines raking the sides. These aren't from branches, they're too deep, too deliberate. My stomach's churning, and I'm thinking about that scrape last night. I climb out, boots hitting the dirt, and shine the light around. The ground's messed up, scuff marks, weird drag lines, like something heavy got hauled off. I'm circling the truck, checking the tires, when I see it. One slashed, rubber sagging into the dirt. Not punctured, slashed, clean through the sidewall. My breath catches, and I'm kicking myself for not bringing a spare. Phoenix is all flat streets and quick fixes. Out here, I'm screwed. I'm pacing, trying to figure out if I can limp back to the highway on 3 wheels, when I hear a twig snap, sharp, close, up by that fire road. My head jerks up, lights swinging, but the trees swallow everything. I'm torn. Pack up and hike out, or stay put till dawn. Hiking's risky. It's miles to anything, and I've got no clue what's lurking out there. Staying feels worse, though, like I'm a sitting duck. I decide to check the cab, see if the radio's got any juice. Maybe I can call for help, even if it's a long shot. I unlock the door, slide in, and twist the key. Static crackles, loud and harsh, but no signal. Then it cuts out, and a voice, low, garbled, comes through, "Stay here." I yank the key out, staring at the dash like it's possessed. I'm back outside, slamming the door, when I spot something glinting near the trees, a badge, half buried in the dirt. I kneel, brushing it off, and it's old, tarnished, with Forest Service stamped on it. My skin's crawling. This isn't some lost trinket. It's too clean, too new looking for how beat up it is. I'm thinking about that tower, the flickering light, and now this. Rangers don't just ditch badges, right? I pocket it, telling myself it's nothing, but my hands are shaky. I'm hauling gear back into the truck, deciding to move camp. Flat tire or not, I'm not staying here. I'm tossing the cooler in when I hear it, a low hum, steady, coming from the fire road. It's mechanical, like an engine idling, but there's no headlights, no movement. I freeze, listening, and it's getting louder, closer. My mind's racing. Another camper? Rangers? But that smell hits again, rancid and overwhelming, and I'm gagging, backing toward the cab. I'm about to jump in when I see them. 2 figures, just past the trees, standing there. Not moving, not talking, just watching. My flashlight catches them, pale, filthy, wearing what looks like torn jackets, maybe uniforms. I yell, "Hey, you guys okay?" No answer, just those stares, and my gut's screaming this is wrong. I'm scrambling into the driver's seat, locking the doors, when the hum spikes, loud, vibrating the truck, and the figures step forward, slow and synced. I'm cranking the engine, praying it holds, and the truck lurches, tire thumping uselessly. I'm grinding gears, forcing it down the trail, and the rear view shows them following, not running, just walking, steady as hell. My palms are slick on the wheel, and I'm cursing myself for coming out here alone. The hum's everywhere now, rattling my teeth, and I'm glancing at the badge in my pocket, wondering if it's some kind of marker. I find a wider spot, maybe a mile out, and pull over, engine coughing. The hum's faded, and those figures are gone, for now. I'm panting, checking the mirrors, when I notice my sketchbook's open on the passenger seat. I didn't leave it there. The tower's drawn on the page, rough like I did it. But there's more, stick figures, 2 of them, scrawled in red ink I don't own. My throat's tight, and I'm staring at it, realizing this isn't just a bad night. This is something scary, something I've stumbled into blind. I'm sitting in the cab, staring at that sketchbook like it's gonna bite me, my breath fogging up the windshield. The red ink's still wet, smearing when I touch it, and my hands are trembling so bad I drop the damn thing. Those stick figures, 2 of them, just like the ones I saw, feel like a warning, and the horror's sinking in deep. I slam the book shut, tossing it into the back, and crank the heat, even though I'm sweating through my shirt. The truck's engine's ticking, that flat tire mocking me, and I'm stuck here, miles from anywhere sane. I'm wiping my palms on my jeans when the hum starts again, louder, closer, vibrating the whole damn truck. My head snaps up, and I'm scanning the dark, flashlight beam bouncing off the pines. Then I see them, those 2 figures, stepping out from the trees, right in front of me. They're clearer now, gaunt, faces smudged with dirt, eyes too big, too empty. They're wearing ranger jackets, shredded and stained, and one's got a badge pinned crooked on its chest. My stomach flips. This is scary as hell, and I'm not imagining it. I'm fumbling with the keys, trying to start the truck, when they move, fast, darting to the sides like they're flanking me. The engine sputters, catches, and I'm peeling out, the flat tire thumping loud enough to wake the dead. I glance in the mirrors. They're keeping pace, loping through the trees, not running but gliding, unnatural as hell. My throat's dry, and I'm yelling at myself to focus, but the hum's drilling into my skull, making it hard to think straight. Something's seriously wrong here. The road narrows, and I'm swerving around rocks, the truck groaning under the strain. Then the headlights catch something. A third figure, dead center, taller than the others, holding what looks like a shovel. I slam the brakes, skidding, and it just stands there, staring. My chest's tight, and I'm reversing, tires spinning, when the other two slam into the truck, hard. The whole thing rocks, glass cracking on the passenger side, and I'm screaming, flooring it backward, praying I don't hit a tree. I'm spinning the wheel, turning around, when the radio flares up, static, then voices, chanting, "You stay you," over and over. I smack it off, but it keeps going, louder, and I'm losing it, tears stinging my eyes. The third figure's walking toward me now, shovel dragging, scraping the dirt with this awful screech. I'm getting it forward, aiming right for it, but it sidesteps, smooth, like it knew, and swings the shovel. It smashes the tailgate, metal crumpling, and I'm jolting in my seat, barely keeping control. I'm flying down the trail, branches snapping against the windshield, when I see the tower again, closer, the light flickering steady now. My mind's racing. Rangers, help, anything. But those figures are still behind me, shadows darting in the mirrors. The truck's shaking, the flat tire shredding apart, and I'm gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles are white. I'm telling myself I'll make it, but the hum's everywhere, and that smell, rotting, suffocating, floods the cab like it's leaking through the vents. I skid into a clearing near the tower, the truck lurching to a stop, engine coughing out. I'm grabbing my flashlight and the badge, kicking the door open, when I hear it. A laugh, guttural and wet, echoing from the trees. My beam catches them. 3 now, circling the clearing, closing in. One's got my cooler, dragging it like a prize, and another's holding my sketchbook, pages flapping in the wind. My blood's ice. This isn't random. They've been in my stuff, they know me. I'm bolting for the tower, legs pumping, the ladder rattling as I climb. The light's on up there, bright and steady, and I'm yelling for help, voice hoarse. I'm halfway up when the ladder shakes, hard. I look down, and one's climbing after me, fast, claws scraping the rungs. My flashlight slips, clattering down, and I'm hauling myself up, scraping my shins bloody. The platform's cold, empty, no ranger, just a radio spitting that damn chant and a pile of old gear, badges glinting in the mess. I'm slamming the trapdoor shut, shoving the radio against it. When I see it, scratched into the floor, they collect. They keep. My heart stops, and I'm staring at the badges, the gear, realizing it's not junk, it's trophies. The trapdoor bucks, with splintering, and I'm backing up, nowhere left to go. The hum's deafening, the laugh ringing out, and I'm clutching that badge I found, knowing I've stepped into something disturbing, something that's not letting me walk away. I'm slamming my weight against that trapdoor, the radio skidding as those things pound from below. The wood's cracking, and my arms are burning, but I'm not letting them up here, not yet. The tower's swaying in the wind, creaking like it's gonna collapse, and the horror's choking me, thick and real. I'm scanning the platform for anything, a weapon, a way out, and spot a rusty axe leaning against the railing. I grab it, hands slick with sweat, and wedge it under the trapdoor, buying me a few seconds. My mind's screaming, "Get out, Caleb, now!" I'm peering over the edge, the drop making my stomach lurch, 40 feet, maybe more, onto jagged rocks and pines. The ladder's my only shot, but they're on it, clawing up, their ragged ranger jackets flapping like ghosts. I'm kicking at the axe, praying the door holds, when the radio flares again, louder, chanting my name, "Caleb, Caleb," over and over. I smash it with my boot, silencing it, but the hum's still there, vibrating the floor. I've got to move, or I'm dead. I'm yanking the tarp off the gear pile, looking for rope, anything, when I find a flare gun, old, scratched, but loaded. My hands are shaking as I stuff it in my belt, and I'm tying a rope from the pile around my waist, looping it to the railing. The trapdoor buckles, splintering, and a hand, pale, filthy, grabs through. I swing the axe, hacking at it, and black blood sprays, the thing hissing as it pulls back. I'm not waiting. I'm over the edge, rappelling down, rope burning my palms, legs kicking wild. I'm halfway down when the rope jerks. Something's cutting it up top. I glance up, and one's leaning over, sawing with a jagged blade, grinning. My heart's in my throat, and I'm dropping faster, the ground rushing up. I hit hard, rolling into the dirt, pain shooting through my ankle. The rope snaps, coiling around me, and I'm scrambling up, limping toward the truck. The flare gun's still tucked in, and I'm clutching it like a lifeline. I'm hobbling across the clearing, the truck's busted shape ahead. When they drop, 3 of them, landing silent as cats, cutting me off. My breath's ragged, and I'm raising the flare gun, finger trembling. Back off, I yell, but they just tilt their heads, stepping closer. I fire, red light streaks out, slamming into one's chest. It screeches, staggering back, flames licking up its jacket, but the others don't stop. I'm running, ankle screaming, dodging between trees, their footsteps thudding behind me. The forest's a blur, branches slashing my face, and I'm tripping, catching myself on roots. That hum's everywhere, pounding my skull, and the smell, rotting, suffocating, clogs my lungs. I'm weaving, trying to lose them, when I stumble onto the fire road. My truck's there, smashed up, but close. I'm sprinting, keys jangling in my pocket, and dive into the cab, slamming the door. The engine sputters, once, twice, then roars, and I'm peeling out, the flat tire shredding to nothing. I'm barreling down the trail, mirrors showing them chasing. Fast now, not gliding, full-on running. The truck's shaking, metal groaning, and a hand smashes the back window, glass spraying. I swerve, fishtailing, and it falls off, but they're still coming, shadows in the headlights. I'm pushing 60, trees blurring, when the road dips, a bridge, narrow and wooden, over a dry creek. I gun it, boards rattling, and they're right behind, clawing at the tailgate. I'm across, skidding onto dirt, when I hear it, a crack, loud and sharp. The bridge buckles, collapsing under their weight, and I'm glancing back, seeing them tumble into the ravine, dust billowing. My chest's heaving, and I'm laughing, wild and shaky, thinking I've made it. I'm slowing down, catching my breath, when the headlights catch something, a figure, standing ahead, shovel in hand. My laugh dies, and I'm flooring it again, aiming right for it. It doesn't move, just swings, the shovel smashing the grill, radiator hissing as I plow through. The truck lurches, steam blinding me, and I'm crashing off the road, slamming into a tree. My head snaps forward, pain exploding, and everything spinning. I'm groping for the flare gun, blood dripping in my eyes, when I hear them, climbing out of the ravine, closing in. I'm trapped, engine dead, and the terror swallowing me whole. I'm slumped against the steering wheel, head throbbing, blood trickling down my face. The truck's a wreck, hood crumpled, steam hissing, and I'm fumbling with the flare gun, hands slippery. The forest's alive with them now, shadows moving through the trees, that hum drilling into me like a nightmare I can't wake up from. I'm kicking the door open, staggering out, and my ankle gives, dropping me to my knees. The horror's real. I'm not getting out of this, but I'm too stubborn to quit. I'm crawling, dirt caking my hands. When they step into view, 3 of them, burned and battered but still coming. The one I flared smoldering, jacket melted into its skin, and the others are dragging my cooler, my sketchbook, like trophies. I'm raising the flare gun, aiming shaky, and fire again. Miss, the shot arcing into the trees, lighting up the dark. They laugh, that wet, guttural sound, and I'm screaming, hurling the empty gun at them. It clatters uselessly, and they're on me, closing the gap. I'm clawing at the ground, dragging myself toward the ravine, thinking maybe I can hide, lose them in the drop. My fingers dig into roots, pulling, but they're faster, boots crunching close. I roll onto my back, kicking wild, and catch one in the knee. It stumbles, but the other grabs my leg, yanking me back. My nails scrape dirt, tearing, and I'm thrashing, yelling for help that's not coming. Their hands are cold, clawing, pinning me down, and I'm staring into those empty eyes, the terror choking me. I'm fighting, flailing, when I see it, the badge I pocketed, glinting in the dirt where it fell. I lunge, snatching it, and stab upward, jamming it into one's throat. Black blood gushes, and it reels back, gurgling, but the others don't stop. They're lifting me, dragging me toward the ravine, and I'm kicking, screaming, my voice raw. I made a mistake, thought I could outrun them, outsmart them, and now it's costing me everything. They haul me to the edge, the drop yawning below, and I'm twisting, clawing at their arms. The shovel guy's back, limping but alive, and it swings, slow, deliberate, cracking my ribs. Pain explodes, air rushing out, and I'm gasping, dangling over the edge. I'm thinking about Phoenix, my shitty apartment, how I just wanted a break, and now I'm here, broken and bleeding. The tragedy hits hard. I'm nobody special, just another fool who thought the wild was safe. They let go, and I'm falling, tumbling down the ravine, rocks smashing into me. I hit bottom, hard, spine snapping against a boulder, and I'm staring up, vision fading. They're at the top, watching, silhouettes against the moon, and one sketching, red ink on my book, marking me out. My chest heaving, blood pooling, and I'm whispering, why? No answer, just that hum, fading with my pulse. I'm fading too, limbs heavy, the cold seeping in. The forest swallowing me, taking me like it took the others, those badges, that gear. My truck's up there, wrecked, a tombstone for my dumbass trip. Some ranger will find it, maybe the sketchbook, and wonder who I was. They won't know the half of it, how I fought, how I lost, how these things collected me like a prize. They're climbing down now, slow and steady, shovel dragging. I'm barely breathing, eyes locked on them, and they're reaching, hands closing around me. The last thing I feel is that cold grip, pulling me into the dark, and I'm gone, another ghost for their tally. The wilds keep their secrets, and I'm one of them now, lost to whatever the hell they are. The truck sits there, silent, a warning nobody'll heed. The tower's light flickers on, steady again, waiting for the next fool to roll in. I'm behind the wheel of my dusty old van, the engine grumbling as I pull off the highway onto a bumpy forest road. My name's Harper Quinn. I've got 27 years old, and I'm from Sedona, where the red rocks and woo-woo vibes are my norm. Up here near Flagstaff, though, it's all pines and shadows, a different kind of wild I've been dying to explore. I've got my buddy Miles with me, 28, lanky, always cracking jokes, and we're chasing a weekend of camping, just the two of us in this beat-up rig I've been sleeping in since college. The sun's sinking fast, painting the sky this crazy pink that bounces off the trees. We're deep in Coconino National Forest now, following some half-assed directions Miles found online, supposedly a killer spot by a creek. I'm parking the van near a clearing, tires crunching gravel, and Miles is already hopping out, hauling his tent bag like a kid on Christmas. I'm sticking to the van, got a mattress in the back, a cooler, some string lights I rigged up for vibes. Tents are his thing, not mine. I'm popping the side door, airing out the van, while Miles wrestles with his tent poles, cussing up a storm. The air's crisp, smells like pine and earth, and it's a hell of a switch from Sedona's dusty heat. I'm loving it, kicking back with a soda, watching him fumble. You sure you don't want the van, man? I tease, and he flips me off, grinning. We've been tight since high school, always dragging each other into dumb adventures like this. Feels good to unplug, you know? I'm wandering a bit, stretching my legs, when I spot a trail snaking up a hill. It's narrow, overgrown, but I'm curious, got that itch to see what's around. I grab my flashlight and head up, leaving Miles to his tent chaos. The climb's steep, and I'm huffing by the time I hit the top. There's a lookout tower up here, old, weathered, with a busted window and a faded USFS sign. It's creepy cool, like something out of a ghost story, and I'm snapping a pic with my phone, even though the signal's long gone. Back at camp, I'm firing up the little stove I keep in the van, boiling water for some instant noodles. Miles finally gets his tent up, lopsided but standing, and we're chowing down, the creek gurgling nearby. Night's settling in, stars popping out, and I'm stringing up those lights, giving the van a cozy glow. We're laughing about old times, stupid stuff like sneaking beers at prom, when I hear it. A low whistle, sharp and quick, cutting through the dark. Miles freezes, fork halfway to his mouth, and I'm like, you hear that? We're both quiet, listening, and it comes again. Closer, human-sounding but off, like it's mocking us. I grab the flashlight, shining it toward the trees, but it's just shadows and branches. Probably a bird or something. Miles says, shrugging, but his voice is tight. I'm not buying it. Birds don't whistle like that at night. I'm brushing it off, though, cracking a joke about Bigfoot, and we're back to eating, pretending it's nothing. Still, my ears are perked, waiting. I'm cleaning up, tossing wrappers in a bag, when I notice the creek's gone quiet. No trickling, no nothing. It's weird, disturbing even, and I'm shining the light over there, seeing the water still moving but silent as death. Miles doesn't notice. He's yapping about some movie, but I'm uneasy. That whistle stuck in my head. I climb into the van, locking the doors out of habit, and Miles crawls into his tent, zipping it up within night, dude. I'm lying on the mattress, lights dimmed, scrolling through pics on my phone. Tower shots kinda dope, honestly, when I hear it again. That whistle, slow and drawn out, right outside the van. My heart jumps, and I'm sitting up, peering through the window. Nothing's there, just Miles' tent, still and dark. I'm telling myself I'm paranoid, but my gut's twisting, and I'm double-checking the locks, wishing I'd parked closer to civilization. I'm drifting off, eyes heavy, when the van rocks, slight, but enough to snap me awake. My breath catches, and I'm grabbing the flashlight, shining it out. Miles' tent's flapping, like the wind's up, but the air's dead still. Then I see it, a shadow, tall and thin, slipping past the edge of the light. My skin's crawling, and I'm whispering, Miles? No answer, just that whistle again, echoing through the trees, pulling me deeper into something I don't understand. I'm bolt upright in the van, flashlight gripped tight, staring out at Miles' tent flapping in that non-existent breeze. My heart's thumping loud enough to wake the dead, and I'm hissing his name again. Miles, you up? Nothing but silence, thick and heavy. That shadow I saw's gone, but the whistle's back, low and creeping, like it's circling us. I'm telling myself it's just some jerk messing around, but my hands are sweaty, and I'm not buying my own lie. Something's off, and it's starting to feel scary. I'm fumbling with the window latch, cracking it just enough to listen harder. The creek's still mute, which is freaking me out more than it should. Water doesn't just shut up like that. I'm about to climb out when I hear a thud, dull, close, right by the van. My beam swings over, catching the edge of the cooler I left out. It's tipped over, lid cracked open, food scattered. I didn't hear it fall, and Miles sure as hell didn't sneak out to raid it. My throat's tight, and I'm locking the window back up fast. I'm shining the light on his tent again, and it's still. Too still now, like it's holding its breath. Miles, dude, say something. I yell, loud enough to echo. No answer, just that damn whistle, sharper this time, cutting through my voice. I'm torn, stay put or check on him. Sedona's got its share of weirdos, but this feels different, darker. I grab a tire iron from under the seat, better than nothing, and pop the van door, stepping out slow, my boots crunching loud in the quiet. The air's cold, biting my skin, and that whistle's everywhere, bouncing off the trees. I'm creeping toward the tent, iron raised, when I see it. Footprints, big and bare, pressed deep into the dirt around his spot. Not mine, not his, too wide, too long. My stomach drops, and I'm unzipping the tent flap, heart pounding. It's empty, sleeping bag tossed, his phone still there, screen cracked but glowing. Miles. I'm spinning, shining the light wild, but he's gone, and the panic's clawing up my chest. I'm back at the van, slamming the door, locking it, when I notice the driver's side mirror, smeared with something dark, sticky. I lean closer, wiping it with my sleeve, and it's blood. Not much, but fresh, streaking red on my jacket. My breath shallow, and I'm muttering, no, 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 like that'll change it. I'm thinking about that tower, the whistle, those prints. None of this adds up, and it's disturbing as hell. I've got to find him, but I'm frozen, staring at that blood. I'm cranking the engine, headlights flaring, and decide to drive up that trail. Maybe he wandered off, spooked by the same crap I'm hearing. The van lurches, tires spinning, and I'm grinding up the hill, the tower looming closer. The whistle's relentless now, weaving through the hum of the engine, and I'm gripping the wheel, telling myself he's fine, just lost. Then the headlights catch it, a figure, hunched, dragging something by the creek. My blood runs cold. It's got Miles' jacket, hood up, but it's not him. I'm slamming the brakes, tires skidding, and the figure stops, turning slow. No face, just shadow under that hood, and it drops what it's dragging, a leg, pale and limp, sticking out of the brush. I'm gagging, slamming the van into reverse, when the radio crackles, static, then Miles' voice, garbled, "Harper, run." My eyes sting, and I'm peeling back, the figure lurching toward me, fast. I'm shaking, tears blurring everything, and I'm flooring it back to the clearing, praying it's a trick. I'm parked again, engine idling, when I see the tent's gone, ripped clean out of the ground, stakes scattered. My cooler's back, upright like nothing happened, but there's blood on the lid now, smeared in streaks. I'm hyperventilating, grabbing my phone. No signal, just that tower pic glowing on the screen. The whistle's closer, joined by a second one, harmonizing, and I'm locking the doors, realizing I've got no clue what I'm up against. But it's bad, real bad. I'm sitting there, tire iron in my lap, when the van rocks. Hard, like something rammed it. My head snaps up, and the headlights catch them. Two figures, tall and thin, standing at the edge of the light, staring. One's got Miles' phone, dangling it like bait, and the other's holding a ranger hat, twirling it slow. My mouth's dry, and I'm whispering his name, knowing he's not coming back. The terror's real now, and I'm in way over my head, stuck out here with whatever's hunting us. I'm gripping the tire iron so hard my knuckles ache, staring at those two figures in the headlights. Their shapes all wrong. Too tall, too still. The one with Miles' phone lifts it, screen flickering, and I swear I see his face flash on it. Eyes wide, mouth open like he's screaming. My stomach's churning, and the horror's sinking in. This isn't a prank. It's something scary, something I can't wrap my head around. The whistle's splitting the air now, high and sharp, and I'm slamming the van into gear, tires spinning as I peel out, aiming to get the hell away. The road's a blur, trees whipping past, and I'm glancing in the mirrors. Those figures are moving, fast, darting through the pines like they own the dark. The van's rattling, engine straining, and I'm pushing it harder than it's ever gone, praying it holds. Then the headlights catch a third one. Bigger, broader, stepping out from the trail, holding a shovel caked with dirt and blood. My breath catches, and I swerve, clipping a tree, the side mirror snapping off with a crack. It swings the shovel, missing by inches, and I'm screaming, flooring it past. I'm shaking, tears streaking my face, when the radio flares, static, then Miles' voice again. "Harper, they're here." Over and over, looping like a broken record. I smack it off, but it keeps going, louder, filling the van with his panic. My mind's racing. He's gone. I saw that leg, but this is messed up, disturbing beyond anything I've ever known. I'm telling myself it's not real, but the blood on the cooler, the footprints, the hat, it's all too damn real. The trail dips, and I'm bouncing over rocks, the van jolting hard, when something slams the roof. Heavy, denting the metal with a screech. I'm ducking, swerving, and the whistle's right above me now, piercing my skull. I glance up through the sunroof. Cracked glass, a hand clawing at it, pale and twisted. My chest's tight, and I'm yelling, "Get off!" Useless, but I'm losing it. I slam the brakes, then gun it, trying to shake it, and it slides, smashing into the hood, rolling off into the dark. I'm panting, pulling over near the creek, when I see them. All three, closing in from the trees. One's got Miles' tent, shredded and dragging. Another's twirling that ranger hat, and the third's hefting the shovel, grinning with teeth too sharp. My hands are trembling, and I'm locking the doors, but the van rocks again, harder, from the side. Glass shatters, the passenger window, and a hand reaches in, clawing at me. I swing the tire iron, connecting with a sick crunch, and it pulls back, hissing, black blood dripping on the seat. I'm peeling out again, tires screaming, when the headlights die, flicker, then gone. I'm blind, crashing through brush, the van lurching as I hit something big. The engine sputters, stalls, and I'm fumbling for the flashlight, clicking it on. The beam catches them, right outside, circling slow, their faces clear now, hollow, smeared with grime, eyes glinting like animals. My throat's raw, and I'm whispering, "No, no, no," realizing this isn't just bad luck, it's a trap, and I'm caught. I'm kicking the door open, tire iron in hand, when the shovel guy lunges, fast, swinging low. I dodge, stumbling into the creek, water soaking me cold. The other two are on me, grabbing my arms, and I'm thrashing, swinging wild, cracking one in the jaw. It staggers, but they're strong, too strong. and I'm dragged back, the flashlight slipping, sinking into the creek. The whistle's deafening, and I'm screaming for miles, for anyone, knowing it's pointless. They're hauling me toward the tower trail, my boots dragging, and I'm fighting, kicking, biting, anything to break free. The van's a shadow behind me, lights dead, and I'm thinking about Sedona, my quiet life, how I dragged miles into this. The third one's ahead, leading us up, and I see it. The tower, light blazing now, steady and bright. My gut's screaming this is wrong, terrifyingly wrong, and I'm clawing at their grip, feeling my strength fade. I'm at the base of the tower, ladder rattling, when they stop, staring up like they're waiting. The trapdoor creaks open, and a figure leans out. Not one of them, different, wearing a ranger uniform, clean and crisp. It's smiling, waving me up, and my blood freezes. The ones holding me let go, stepping back, and I'm standing there, panting, realizing I've got no choice. Up or out, and out's not an option with them watching. I grab the rungs, climbing slow, the terror choking me as I head into whatever's waiting. I'm hauling myself up the ladder, hands slipping on cold metal, every rung feeling like a step into hell. The ranger's still up there, smiling that creepy smile, and I'm torn, stay down with those things or face whatever's in the tower. My arms are screaming, legs shaking, and I'm glancing back. Those three are just watching, still as statues, the shovel glinting in the moonlight. My gut's yelling to run, but there's nowhere left, so I keep climbing, the light blinding me as I near the top. I'm pulling myself onto the platform, panting, and the ranger's right there. Too close, too calm. "Welcome," he says, voice smooth, and I'm scrambling back, tire iron raised. The trapdoor slams shut behind me, locking with a click, and I'm trapped, heart pounding. The tower's cluttered, maps, radios, a stack of ranger hats, and there's blood, old and crusted, smeared on the walls. My skin's crawling, and I'm yelling, "Where's Miles?" He just laughs, soft and wrong. I'm lunging at him, swinging the iron, but he sidesteps, fast, like he's done this before, and grabs my wrist, twisting hard. The iron clatters, and I'm kicking, shoving, but he's strong, pinning me against the railing. "You're a fighter," he says, grinning, and I'm gagging on that rotting smell, realizing it's him, not them. My mind's racing. This is life or death, and I'm losing. I headbutt him, nose crunching, and he staggers, giving me a second to break free. I'm diving for the iron, snatching it, when the radios flare, all of them, blasting static and voices, Miles among them. "Harper, help." I'm swinging again, connecting with his knee, and he drops, cursing. I'm at the trapdoor, prying at it, but it's stuck, bolted from below, maybe. The ranger's up, limping toward me, and I'm backing up, nowhere to go but the edge. The drop's dizzying, but I'm thinking it's my only shot, jump or die up here. He's on me, hands clawing, and I'm shoving back, teetering on the railing. "They like you," he whispers, breath hot on my face, and I'm swinging wild, cracking his jaw. He reels, and I'm over the edge, sliding down the tower's side, scraping skin raw on bolts and wood. I hit a ledge halfway, pain exploding in my ribs, and I'm clinging, gasping, the ground still too far. The trapdoor bangs open, and those three start climbing up, fast, claws scraping. I'm dropping again, letting go, tumbling through branches, hitting dirt hard. My legs twisted, ankles screaming, but I'm up, limping toward the van, the tire iron still in my grip. The tower's alive now, whistles, laughs, the hum shaking the air, and I'm running, hobbling, tears streaming. The van's close, keys still in my pocket, and I'm diving in, slamming the door as they drop from the tower, landing soft, closing in. The engine roars, and I'm peeling out, headlights flickering back on. I'm flying down the trail, branches smashing the windshield, and they're chasing, fast, relentless, shadows in the mirrors. The van's shaking, suspension groaning, and I'm pushing it past its limit, praying it holds. The creek's ahead, and I'm gunning for it, water splashing as I ford through, tires slipping. They're at the bank, stopping, watching, and I'm laughing, shaky and wild, thinking I've made it, biggest mistake yet. I'm on the other side, slowing to catch my breath, when the engine cuts, dead, no warning. My heart sinks, and I'm cranking it, nothing happening. The headlights die, and I'm fumbling for the flashlight, clicking it, busted, drowned in the creek. The dark's swallowing me, and I hear it. Boots on gravel, slow and steady, coming from behind. I'm locking the doors, whispering, "Come on, come on." But the van's a coffin now, and they're here. The side door rips open, metal screeching, and the ranger's there, smiling, blood dripping from his nose. "Told you they like you," he says, and I'm swinging the iron. But the others grab me, dragging me out. I'm kicking, screaming, the cold air biting as they haul me back toward the creek, the tower's light glowing like a beacon. I'm fighting, but it's over. I'm caught, and the terror's all I've got left. I'm thrashing in their grip, boots slipping in the creek mud, but they're iron strong, dragging me back toward the tower. The ranger's ahead, limping but grinning, that shovel slung over his shoulder like a trophy. My ribs are screaming, ankle throbbing, and I'm yelling, voice hoarse, "Let me go." They just laugh, that wet, guttural sound that makes my skin crawl. The horror's choking me, and I'm realizing I screwed up. Thought I could outrun them, save Miles, save myself. Wrong, all wrong. They're at the tower base, shoving me against the ladder, and I'm clawing at their hands, nails tearing. One grabs my hair, yanking my head back, and I'm staring up. The trapdoor's open, lights spilling out, and I see shapes up there, more of them, watching. My stomach drops, and I'm kicking, catching one in the shin. It hisses, but doesn't let go. The ranger climbs first, slow and deliberate, and they force me up after, hands shoving, claws digging into my arms. I'm on the platform again, panting, and it's worse. Blood everywhere, fresh now, pooling under a pile of gear. Miles' jacket's there, torn and soaked, and I'm sobbing. "You bastards." The ranger turns, smiling, and pulls a radio from the stack. It crackles, his voice coming through, "Harper, stay." My knees buckle, and I'm swinging the iron, wild, cracking his arm. He grunts, but the others pin me, slamming me against the wall, the fight draining out fast. They're tying me up, rope, rough and tight, around my wrists, my ankles, and I'm twisting, begging, "Why? What do you want?" No answer, just that whistle, echoing in my skull. The ranger kneels, close, and whispers, "You're theirs now," his breath reeking of rot. I'm gagging, pulling at the ropes, but they're solid, and I'm stuck, the tragedy hitting hard. I came out here for fun, and I'm losing everything. The platform's crowded now, more of them climbing up, faces hollow, wearing scraps of uniforms, badges glinting. One's got Miles' phone, playing that voice loop, and I'm screaming, "Stop it." They don't. They're dragging stuff in, my cooler, my lights, pieces of the van, and piling it around me like a shrine. My chest's heaving, and I'm thinking about Sedona, my van, how I should have stayed home, smoked a joint, anything but this. The ranger's carving something into the floor, my name, scratched deep, next to others, too many others. I'm shaking, blood dripping from my wrists, and I'm making one last move, lunging, head down, ramming him. He stumbles, teetering near the edge, and I'm pushing, desperate, but the others grab me, yanking me back. He catches himself, laughing, and swings the shovel. Crack, right across my temple. Pain explodes, and I'm reeling, vision blurring. I'm down, head spinning, and they're lifting me, tying me to the railing, facing the drop. The forest spinning below, and I'm fading, blood pooling under me, warm and sticky. The ranger's voice cuts through, they keep what they take, and I'm whispering Miles' name, an apology he'll never hear. The whistle's soft now, almost soothing, and I'm slipping, the fight gone, the mistake clear. I trusted the wild, and it ate me alive. They're watching, silent, as my eyes flutter shut, the light dimming. The van's out there, gutted, a warning nobody'll find in time. My phone's in their hands, screen glowing with that tower pic, and they're adding it to the pile, another piece of me claimed. The tragedy's complete. I'm not Harper anymore, just a name on the floor, a ghost for their collection. The tower light flares, bright and steady, waiting for the next fool to roll in. The creek's quiet again, the forest swallowing it all. Miles, me, our dumbass trip. They've got us now, and there's no going back.